Hello, this is Victoria Cope. I was one of the TELA presenters from 2020 to 2021, and I'm back just to share some extra ideas and to review what we did in our presentation. Remember that music is the art of thinking with sounds, and that's really what we're working towards, is getting our kids to read and think musically. Remember that we used the story, fortunately, to warm up our voices. We responded with an oh yes or an oh no based on what was going on in the story. Now, there are lots of stories that you can use. One of my favorites to use is Froggy Gets Dressed. Every time the mom calls for Froggy, she could use a different voice. It might be that she's totally social emotional. She's really happy, Froggy, or she's really annoyed, Froggy. It just depends on how she's saying it, really changes the meaning in the story. And it's just, again, one word, a simple answer that can make or break that story. For our Fortunately story, if you're looking for a link to the actual book, the girl here with the microphone will give you that link right to the story, Fortunately, or I have a video presentation of it that I don't particularly like because she reads it a little robotically. So if you want to read it yourself, just click on the girl with the microphone and she will take you there. Now remember that you can use things like social emotional learning with this. You could even try saying like, okay, let's take that Froggy Gets Dressed. Let's make the mom calm. Let's make the mom bored. Let's make the mom hysterical. Let's make the mom worried. You could totally use your zones of emotional development and share that with the students and let them come up with how that person would sound or that character would sound. The students also could use art to say how the color is used to tell the story, what colors tell us things are bad or good. And then our older kids could use historic events to discuss fortunate and unfortunate moments in history. Next, we have the musical gallery walk, where students were allowed to create a Spotify or YouTube playlist and give a story and tell their story. Here was my narrative that I used. Fortunately, I was chosen to do a solo. Unfortunately, my music teacher lost my music and couldn't accompany me. Fortunately, I knew another song. Unfortunately, my teacher didn't know it. Fortunately, I sang by myself and received a standing ovation. And then I have my songs that go with each fortunately and unfortunately story or storyline. One thing that you could do is give the students the playlist and they have to come up with the story that goes with the playlist. Or you could give them a story and have them create the playlist, or you can have them do both. And you can choose how many songs a student should choose. And if you want to have it be a longer story, have more songs. And if they want a shorter story, you can have less songs. So it's just a way for your students to share the music that they listen to and also share a story with you. One thought is that if you're worried about lyrics, because I know some students like songs with inappropriate lyrics in them, you could try having the students find instrumental versions only of the songs that they choose. So, or they don't have to have a link at all. Mine link to actual songs on YouTube. You could just have the students list the songs. And then later you could have playlists of students' work and say, okay, today in class, we're going to listen to Billy's song list. And the kids would love hearing their song list, knowing that that's their playlist. The next thing that we did was that little boom chicka boom chant. I know that probably you've heard it before, but just in case you haven't, the rhythm of it is, I said a boom chicka boom. 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 I said a boom chicka rocka chicka boom. I said a boom chicka rocka chicka boom. Oh yeah. One more time. And then you give it a style. Now, we use different characters from different stories to tell the story and use different styles for each character. For example, the wolf might go, I said a boom, chicka boom. And the granny might say, I said a boom, chicka boom. And the hunter might say, I said a boom, chicka boom. And, be all brave. And Red Riding Hood might be, I said a boom, chicka boom. So they can create different voices for the different characters. We then made a soundscape, and the soundscape was such an exciting moment because you got a chance to see a picture book, and I gave you lots of choices here of picture books, and then create your own soundscape. We used the story Chalk. And you really want to choose a story that speaks to you. So one that means something to you is going to make the best songscapes for your class because you're going to be invested in it. You have the students work as teams to describe the picture with words. Remember, choose one page, one picture for each group to do. You don't want to try to have them do the whole book. That's just overwhelming for kids. Then the kids need to find the rhythms in the words that they choose because they're going to describe that picture. So for example, if we were looking at a picture of a big monster, you might say big, hairy, scary monster, big, hairy, scary monster. And we have to find the rhythm of the words. Big, hairy, scary monster, big, hairy, scary monster. And then the students would then take that and put it to an instrument. They can put that into rhythm. Ta, ti, 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 ta, ti, 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 ti. Or they can just simply play the rhythm of the words. Big, hairy, scary monster, big, hairy, scary monster on an instrument. It depends on how intricate you want to get with the theory. If you want the kids to create the rhythms, you can totally do that. Remember, the ta is a long sound, ti ti is a short sound, tiki tiki or takadimi is a very fast sound. Those are the 16th notes. The ti or tikis are or tadis, I think, are eighth notes, and the tas are quarter notes. And then you also have rests. Don't forget to tell kids that they can have a rest. Big rest, hairy, scary, big rest, hairy, scary. Rests are just as important as sound because the rests make the music sound alive. And then students pick their instruments, and I have lots and lots of choices for making your own instruments. You don't have to have a huge instrument collection in your classroom to create this. And then you're going to have your students listen to the sentences of their group and decide where they want them. Do they want them layered? Do they want them to connect in one long text phrase? So that's really up to the students. Layered is tricky because you're having one kid do big, hairy, scary monster at the same time that some other kid might be doing, I am very scared. I am very scared. So you have the big, hairy, scary monster. Big. I am very scared. I am very scared. So you've got two sounds going on, and that can be a little tricky. Sometimes it's nice just to do that long text stream, having it go big, hairy, scary monster. I am very scared. Big, hairy, scary monster. I am very scared. And having them go back and forth between the two. You can have up to 5, 6 different sentences if you want, just depending on how intricate and how intense you want this song to be. And it makes it a lot of fun for the kids to get a chance to perform their page of the story as you read it. And then you're going to perform your page as a soundscape. I love to do this as a storytelling moment. So I have the storybook up and I have the kids all ready. They know, okay, group A is going to go first when their page comes up, and they all run up to the instruments. I put the instruments out so that they're ready to go. And the kids run up to the instruments when I turn the page, and they say their sentence with their rhythms. And so it tells the story as you go, and you're just turning the pages, and the kids get to just take over for the class. This is a great recording that you can do for parents as well. This is a really fun activity. And then the next thing that you can do is have the students discuss what they did, reflect on their performance. And reflection is such an important part of music because if we're not reflecting, then we're not improving. So in our TK through 2s, you could do this as a group, or you could have kids do this individually. The music reminded me of the page, what the page was when it sounded blank, or the music sounded blank and it reminded me of blank because, and using that, because word really gives a little bit more oomph to their response. And then finally, we had our big project. And the big project is very similar to the soundscape, except that instead of taking a picture and just saying, I'm going to make this picture into a song, you're taking an idea of a story. You're taking the whole story and summarizing it. So you might be reflecting on the plot of the story, the characters, a big moment, the theme of the story. You're going from this small idea of just a picture on a page to here's the whole story, and I'm creating music based on this story. Okay. The cool thing is that you can have the same story for all the kids, and you will end up with 5 to 6 to 7 different songs that look and sound completely different, because if they're choosing the plot, it might sound a lot different than if they're choosing a character or a big moment or a theme. So it's really up to the kids what they choose. So you can choose any story. Any good story will work with this. I have some suggestions on the next slide because we're looking for stories with repetition or movement so students can find the rhythm of the words within it. Sometimes the students can choose a phrase or a sentence from the story, or they can write a summative sentence of their own that the song will be based on. It's really up to you which way you want to go with that. I think both become very successful. Sometimes if you have kids that are having a harder time with the language, choosing something from the story is a lot easier for them. And then students work together. They find the rhythm of the words, just like they did in the soundscape, but just it's going to be a little bit more intense, a little bit more involved. And then it's time to get creative. The students get to perform with rhythm, with or without words, as an ostinato. And an ostinato is just a repeated pattern. You're saying it over and over again. You're driving it home. And you could have several different ostinatos. So you might have one. Let's go back to our big, hairy, scary monster. That's one ostinato. And then I am very scared. That's a second ostinato. So you're just layering on these different ostinatos. Students can choose the instrumentation from at-home instruments or instruments from the classroom or even body percussion. And then they're going to really go a little bit further and they're going to make some music element choices. Remember when you learned about like the pictures, we were responding to photos that Andrew did, and he showed us the photo, and then we were to respond emotionally, musically with that. So this is kind of going that extra step, changing the dynamics, how loud or soft it is, the tempo, how fast or slow the sounds are, long and short as well, deciding the rhythm. And then all of their choices should reflect the choice of the character, the plot, the big moment, or the theme. And then students can be assessed with this rubric. And the rubric is just a starting point. This is a rubric that I might use. It's a 1 through 4 rubric, and it just gives you an idea of how you can grade your students. They can also grade themselves. This is also can be a great reflection tool. You might simplify it for students, but this is a great way for students. Does it have a rhythm pattern? What instruments did you use? What elements of music did you use? And how did your group work together? I find this last one very telling for students. They know if their group worked well together or not. And so I think that's always a great way to have the kids share out how they think they did. I've given you lots of story choices. All of these are linked to the actual story so that you can find them or where to find them. Your older kids, you probably want to be on this side, your younger kids over here. However, it's sometimes fun to take a younger kid's book and have your older kids create a big moment or idea from it. And they love taking like a book like Elephant and Piggy and creating a song out of this when they're older as well. It doesn't have, they can take an old classic that they love. And as I said, here are some examples of body percussion that you can use, and also 52 instruments you can make at home. You can find tons of videos online how to make instruments. They're simple. You can use recycled materials. There's so many options there. And then I have some iPad, iPhone apps available that your students could use if they wanted to make a virtual song and make it using technology, if you have those options. And then there's some online options as well. I really like Music Chrome Lab. Musica is a really cool one. Virtual music instruments is kind of neat because it gives you actually the instrument to play on. And then this is a chord player. This onemotion.com is a chord player as well. Another app that I really love is Typetone, and I just want to show you really quickly. So the kids click on the clipboard, they type out their sentence. I went to the store with my mom and bought a dozen eggs. Just a random sentence. I'm going to paste that in. And then I can play my song by pressing on this little like speaker. And it will play my song. Now, if I change it by clicking on the note, and the kids can create a song with the sentence. Random. And they can choose the sounds that go best with their sentence. This is a very scary dozen eggs that they have bought. Very intense. They can even share out their music by copying a link and sharing that to you. So kids can work in groups and then share it and share a link with you, which I think is so cool. So if you have any more questions for me, please stay in touch. I am always available via email, and you can check out my Twitter at vicicope or my Instagram, Mega Music Teach. We really hope that you continue to use music in everyday learning, and I hope that you enjoy all of the things that we've shared today. Have a great day.